Hello, everybody. My name is TJ Griffin, and of course, you guys know Dan Snyder, pastor of the great First Presbyterian Church. This is Uncomfortable Conversations. Last week, we had uncomfortable conversations with a racist white man, and it may have threw a few people off for a second, hearing that from Dan, our pastor. But I thought it was a powerful statement, and to just get us talking. I never heard anybody really say that before. That wasn't, because I know he is not that. But if you get the conversation, what that really meant to him, I think it was powerful to me. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So,
over the years, I've learned it's not about the actions, the individual actions of racism. It's being part of that system.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we are back again. Wanted to talk a little bit more. We spoke briefly about Black Lives Matter, and everyone has seen this and heard this statement for a few years now. Every time there's just police brutality with a black person in the media, that BLM, Black Lives Matters, comes back up, and it's all over. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about what that means to me as a minority person. And if you're not fully aware, it started because people were being killed on television, black people, by police officers, in most cases unarmed and not a threat. And this is a fact. Sometimes different groups of people would find reasons why. Perhaps the police officer was in the right, he grabbed something, he reached for his phone, he turned his back and ran away. There was always something. But that movement was a protest of saying, stop killing us.
Yeah.
And it was very positive. Then some people took it and claimed it and did some things with it, and there were some rioters spray painting it, and all of a sudden media would penetrate that, and then this movement became, these are just evil, reverse racism, great, and it's just not the case. And to this day, that movement it's just not the case. And my personal experience, Dan, is when someone says Black Lives Matter and you say all lives matter.
Yeah, all lives matter. Yeah.
It hurts, actually.
Yeah, say more about that, because I think in the beginning of that movement, that was my feeling right away. I was feeling like, black people aren't the only people being treated unjustly, so don't all lives. That was my initial feeling about that.
And I get that, but it's not. Saying Black Lives Matter does not mean that all lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter was a protest to stop for the killing of unarmed black people by police officers. It's a protest. So all lives matter is a protest as well. So when you say all lives matter, you're protesting a protest, a peaceful protest of stop. I like the example, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October 1st to October 31st. That's the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Right.
If anybody in our congregation supports that month or maybe wears the pin, and I came up to you one day, and my grandfather died of brain cancer, and I said, excuse me, I see your pin, but all cancer matters. My grandfather died of brain cancer.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too.
That would be protesting that
I'm not
breast cancer.
That month is dedicated to breast care awareness, but it doesn't mean that all breast cancer doesn't. So it's a protest to a protest, and if you have a black friend or no, that's how I take it. I don't speak for all black people, but I take it as it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend of mine. It's a white woman, very good friend, and was over the house a few weeks ago, and I know this woman's not a racist. She loves me. I love her. And I know the work she's done with so many youth and minorities from all over, actually, the country at this point. And she said, first thing she said to me was, TJ, what do you think about these rioters? This is just ridiculous. What are they doing? And it hurt me because she never mentioned George Floyd. She never mentioned, how am I doing with George Floyd? What are your, but first thing she wants to mention is the riots. And that's a reaction to the pain. And for a black man, myself, of course I don't want to see rioting, Dan. Of course I think it upsets me. But the difference is I just understand I understand the rage that comes from this. And I told my friend, because I didn't have the words at the moment, because my wife looked at me and I looked at her and I was putting my head down because I was so upset. I just said, very easily, I could be out there rioting with them. Now, I'm a very productive member of society, and I'm, that's the kind, and I don't know if you can process that.
Yeah.
It's just when there's no answer and anger and pain and that these things happen, but of course I'm against it. Same thing when people say, well, black on black crime. At this moment, we don't, and there's no, black on black crime, we don't see these marches, we don't see this. Well, first of all, you can only have a right to say that, in my humble opinion, is if you're in the community and you see what we do on black crime.
Right.
If you're not in the community and you see, if you're not at the Presbyterian Center, if you're not at the Boys and Girls Club of America, if you're not at the Vision program with me going to juvenile youth that are locked up in the system, if you're not with us every day fighting black on black crime to know what we're doing day in and day out, please don't comment on it.
Yeah.
Because yes, we are just as outraged. The media is just not on it. We're not protesting because we have to do it here.
Right.
But we're doing this work all the time.
So you're saying it's that work is not visible as much as the other things that make it to the media.
Yeah, but it's happening right now.
But it's work that you're doing, that you've given your life to.
Absolutely.
So I think
and that goes back to systemic racism. Why there's really black on black crime. Right. Why are all these people of color in these areas? And it's called redlining. That's a whole other conversation of the history of systemic racism.
Yeah. So what I think one of the things I'm learning through this last few weeks, because for me, the murder of George Floyd was, I have to say another tipping point, but like the main tipping point for me. It was like, you know what, this is enough. I mean, 8 minutes and 43 seconds recorded, where that officer had all kinds of time that he could have stood up and it was
just a weird look on his face.
A weird look on his face. It was the kind of thing that caused me in that moment to say, okay, enough, and to focus on Black Lives Mattered. Like suddenly I started hearing what you've been saying all along, Black Lives Matter. Yeah. And part of, I think, what I've learned about racism is as a white person, my need to keep the peace, keep things quiet, keep that voice quiet. All lives matter, so get back in, get back in with all of us here, rather than saying, no, right now we've got to give attention. It's like we're giving attention to coronavirus right now. It doesn't mean that cancer doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of work and research going on for cancer right now, but like right now, coronavirus is killing.
There's other diseases that are more people are dying daily than coronavirus.
Right.
But the attention's not on that because
because right now
can be really big.
Yeah, and that's what I heard. Now I'm hearing, okay, Black Lives Matter. It's kind of like coronavirus matters right now. It's not that other things don't matter. Yeah. And we got to let that voice speak. We got to let that voice speak.
And can all lives matter if Black lives don't? If Black lives don't matter when it comes to police brutality, just stay on that topic, then how can all lives matter?
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know that it is hurtful to me when I hear that, because I understand what that phrase means and that movement means, and it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, because injustice, like Martin Luther King said, injustice one place is a threat to justice everywhere.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing. So when you hear, go ahead.
If my wife came to me in real hurt and pain, my wife, who I love, and she says, TJ, do you love me? And I'm like, Christy, God wants me to love everybody. That would be truthful. But in the moment, it would be hurtful and cruel.
Yeah.
If I'm at my job and somebody comes in a little upset, and I look at him, what's going on, Mike? Mike says, my father died last night. Mike, all parents die. That would be truthful, but hurtful and cruel in the moment.
Yeah.
So when I'm in a hurtful moment, and I say Black Lives Matter, and someone says all lives matter, it's freaking truthful, Dan.
Yeah.
But it's hurtful and cruel in the moment.
Yeah, well said. That's a great example. And to take it even a step further and think about what that does to your marriage, if you were to say that to Christy, what that does to all your friendships, what it does to all of those other relationships too.
So All Lives Matter is truthful.
Right.
But it's hurtful and cruel in the moment,
right.
in this moment.
And I think also it seeks to silence that voice and say, get back in with the rest of us, rather than saying, no, right now, this one's on fire. We got to deal with this one, which it is. So in the last few minutes that we have, I know that a lot of times, how does it sound to you? This is kind of a parallel phrase. How does it sound to you when people would say, I don't see color? I think as a white man growing up, it took me a long time to get to the point where I understood that a person with black skin is actually having a different life experience than me. I just believed as a white person, all people are having the same kind of experience that I'm having in life, because I may have seen you but I never got to know you. And so when you hear people say, well, I don't see color, how does that make you feel?
It's a good question. I don't know if I have to think about that one for a while, but I can.
When did you see race? Because I know, I didn't see. I saw race, but I didn't know there was a different life experience in race until a long way in life.
I can answer that, and you may have to edit this for the church because some things. This is the kind of topic that I don't think we should edit, and I think sometimes in the church, as Christian men and women, sometimes we want to run from certain things or censor certain things.
Yeah.
I first experienced, and that's true because someone that says, I don't see color, perception is everything, and your life experience is different than mine. So by the time I was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, maybe 6, I lived right here on South Ann Street. My mother was dating a gentleman up the street, and my mother and father split up. I'm home being babysat by a teenager from the neighborhood, and my mother comes home early, I'm in bed, and she's screaming and crying and arguing with the gentleman she was dating for a while, who's a good guy. Screaming and arguing, and I heard her say, as I get up because my mother's crying, of course I'm a little boy, she's my everything, I'm listening, I'm worried and I'm scared, and I heard her say, how dare he said that? And then the gentleman said, well, how'd he say it? My mother was arguing at a New Year's Eve party with the gentleman's brother she was dating at the party with. The gentleman's brother, who I know him, who he is to this day, said to my mother, well, you can leave F you and your nigger son.
Oh.
Now, I was about 6, Dan. Never heard that word before. No, what it meant.
Know what it was. Yeah.
But what I knew was my mother was crying about it, and this word was bad. So in the morning when I went to my mom and said, Mommy, what happened? You were crying last night, you were sad. She explained to me that a bad word was said about me. And that bad word is what people say about black people that don't like black people. And it's bad and it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I seen how much it hurt her, so I knew it was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was my first experience at a very young age.
Yeah.
I have many more. I had a good friend of mine ask me not too long ago, and I don't know if this was racism, but it's a violation of my civil rights. It comes with the police brutality, and part of the reason why kids in my culture from our neighborhoods are scared of the police. Ask you, how many times has a gun be pulled on you as a kid, TJ? Almost sarcastically. When I said, I don't know, maybe 10, 12, I don't remember how many times, the jaw dropped. And it could have been 6. But how many times has the police jumped out and grabbed me and ran through my pockets, made me sit on the curb for walking in this town right here, in this sweet little Lancaster town?
Right.
Dozens of times.
Yeah.
Dozens, it was normal. So quickly, I started to see things different. You say you don't see color. Well, as a child in school, maybe I'm going too far with that.
No, because I think what I'm saying, what I'm discovering, or what I have discovered is when I say that, I'm saying I don't see from age 6, I don't see all of that life experience that you had that was different than mine, and not just different, but all the pain that was with that, and all the hurt that came along with that I was oblivious to.
Yeah.
So to say, hey, your life's just like my life.
Yeah.
It all matters. We got to get away from that.
And it's just, there's so much more we can talk about and discuss.
It is, but we have more episodes.
I'm discovering and you're discovering, more episodes.
More episodes. If they keep coming back, we'll keep talking. Because we could keep talking, I'm sure. So we'll come back next week and talk about another topic about this, with conversations either with a white racist or a black man.
Uncomfortable conversations.
Uncomfortable conversations. So see you Sunday.
Guys.